Welcome to the Land House YouTube channel. I'm Seth. In 2020, I partnered with Langston Alternative Power to install a small micro hydro system. And it has a bit of an issue. Let me just send you back to about 3 months ago so you can see what happened. The micro hydro unit I installed in 2020 has a bit of an issue. Do you want to see it? Look at that. It is broken, frozen, and nasty. So let me tell you what happened. A mouse got into the housing, chewed one of the three-phase wires. The mouse is gone, as you can imagine, and it locked down the motor, or the PMA. And so I turned off the water, fixed the wiring, and forgot to turn the water back on. It's been in the low 20s at night, and it just froze up really bad. Quite a bit of ice sculpture out here, and pretty much every piece of PVC in this unit is broken and cracked. I don't think I'll be able to access the PMA now because that's a lot of ice. So we'll wait for this to thaw out some. We'll open this up. I'll show you just how bad it is. But yeah, both T's, it even cracked the stainless steel valve right in there. So anyway, just wanted to show you this and let you know that we have a lot of work ahead of us getting the micro hydro turbine back up and running. Well, as you can tell, I was not prepared for the cold weather that was going to be pretty much every night for 3 months straight. So it is now time to look at the damage and see what we can do to repair this. You're going to want to subscribe to the channel because I have tons more micro hydro content on the way. Not just repairing my unit here, but doing lots of upgrades and also traveling around to film other micro hydro systems. Okay, this is probably what you're wanting to see here. Just how bad is this thing? So we've got a bit of a puddle here where I've had this first T here has cracked up, and looks like there's a good sized crack running along here. It separated my stainless steel ball valve. I don't know if that, I'll have to check to see if that union is busted or not, but check out this. There's probably another mouse living in here. Yeah, ooh, 2 of them. So my new box that I'm gonna be building will be mouse proofed because I'm seeing several mice running around in there right now, which is no good. But check this out. Everything is busted from right here at the beginning all the way around. Basically every piece of PVC is all cracked up. If I had left this running, it would not have done that. My neighbor's unit ran all winter long, no problems whatsoever. So let's go ahead and get this thing taken apart and pulled out so we can reinstall all of this PVC. This whole box idea here is going to be scrapped soon. Let's see, hopefully the mice haven't chewed more of my wires. I'll have to pull those out and take a look here. I installed these nuts here with this treated lumber to hopefully lock down the PMA some, and it did cut down on the sound a little bit, even though it's still a little bit loud. My new design will use closed cell foam instead of this styrofoam, and it should also provide some pretty good soundproofing. If you're wondering why I built a box in the first place, it was primarily for the sound. So I just pulled this out and now it's spinning more freely, so something is definitely touching somewhere. Ah, yep, see that? I just moved right there. Spins well, doesn't spin. So I think that wire there is the culprit. Cool. All right, so we'll look at that in a minute, but we've got a crack that starts here, zooms around over here, cracks all of that, comes up in here, all the way to this valve here and a little bit over here. So all of that would have been good, but we have to take it all off, I believe, to fix this. So anyway, all that's bad. Now this, I think, is salvageable, this union here. So I can unscrew this end piece, and then over here, I never liked this surge tank here, so I think what I'm gonna do is just cut right here, and we'll take all of this off. I'll save these 2 pieces here for the union and that coupling, and then everything else will be replaced. So I'll take out all of this, save one of these valves for, I guess what I'll have is a pipe going on here that'll go off and connect with this one, and that way I can just drain the whole unit, keeping water moving and bypassing everything. So anyway, we'll see how that's gonna work. Okay, made it up here to the shop. Let's go ahead and turn this over and see if we can't get all this removed out of here. So, yeah, there's our Pelton wheel. Alright, so I think what I have to do is remove all of these nozzles, and everything should be pretty easy to pull off after that. Yeah. I've actually got some new nozzles from Spencer, Langston Alternative Power. These are all drilled at 1/4 inch, and so I've got a couple that are 3/16, I believe. So I figured that I could have 2 and 2, and that would allow me to run different flow rates and different power production. So we'll actually be taking all of these off anyway. These really big washers were used as spacers, so I'm just pulling those out real quick. Alright, I've got a PVC cutter here. I'm going to see if I can get in here good enough to start separating some of this pipe. Okay, there's one connection broken there. Alright, I managed to get this side over here popped loose, so now I can remove this. Alright, hopefully this one will come off pretty quick. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Okay, so here is the base housing without all that PVC around it. So we'll have to be redoing all of that. And I've got a box of goodies over here. Let me get, and we can rebuild all of this. Alright, here is my box of goodies that I got. So, subscriber JL Lane has sent a few items, such as breakers and boxes and some covers here. And so we're going to be adding to the electrical side of stuff in a different video. But for now, we want to, let's see, pull out just the plumbing stuff. So I got all new ball valves, and I bought these in schedule 40, no, schedule 80, I think is what that is. So maybe that will do well. So I got 4 of those, and my thoughts were, in the previous version I only had 3, and this way maybe I can turn on and off individual nozzles as needed. So anyway, got all of those, and then let's see what's next here. So before, I had that issue with the really expensive stainless steel valve busting, and so this 2-inch ball valve was not that expensive. The stainless steel valve was $26 from China, I think. Ugh. So this one was really hard to open, man. So anyway, here's my straight pipe. I'll work on that in a minute. And then everything else in here should just be what we need for getting all this put together. Oh yeah, and here's the new nozzles I've got. So that's a 3/16, 3/16, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. No wait, that's another 3/16. So we got 3 at 3/16 and 1/4. So what I'll probably do is have the 3/16 coming into the main portion from the line in, and then have the other 2 off to the side, and then the big one in case we want to really put out a lot of power. Because sometimes in the summertime my flow rate drops down that I can only use one 3/16 nozzle. It's going to be quite tedious putting all this together. I've got the 4 different 90s, and then these 1¼ inch by 3/4 thread, and I've got a cross here, and this steps up to 2 inch. So all of this has to be put onto here with the nozzles, and I'm just realizing that it's going to be quite boring for you to watch all this. So let me get it done real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like after I hopefully get all this back together. It's been about a week, and I have finished the PVC portion of this rebuild. Not quite as good as Spencer had it. Let me show you what I mean here. If I drop the PMA down into the box, there we go. So I'm going to probably start with this one being directly against that, and then this one over here has kind of got a gap, that one's got a gap, and then that one's got a gap. So what Spencer had was these closed pipe raisers, and there won't be quite enough distance in there to get that to work. So what I did is I bought one that's a little bit longer, and that hopefully will give us enough room to get our new nozzles installed. What I'm going to do is say one of these will go directly from the main source, and then we'll have one over here and then one over here. And what I can do is have the bigger one here on one side by itself, and that way as I have water flow I can turn on different configurations. So let's say I had enough to turn on 2 of those and then the big one, but not this one over here. Then I could adjust to fit my flow rates, because sometimes in the wintertime I've got 40 or 50 gallons a minute to work with. So that's working like it should. Now that we move this wire over a bit, and I think what I'm going to do is have the main bit of water coming in right here, because the power needs to have the short amount of cable it's got coming over here as well. So anyway, let me go ahead and get the rest of this fixed up by using different pipe raisers here. And then if this isn't enough washers, then I've also purchased some more. They're a bit smaller, but they should work just fine here to space that out. Yeah, okay, cool. All right, I'll be right back when this is done. As it turns out, I'm not nearly as skilled at this as Spencer Langston. So here's what we've got so far. Water comes into here. It's a 2-inch to 1.25 inch reduction. Hits this cross section here. And the nozzle that goes straight through is a 3/16, I believe, is what that is. So you can see it hits pretty well straight on there. It probably could have come up a little bit, but I think it's going to work. If you follow up here, it goes over and then down here to another 3/16. I've got that one centered. It's a little further away than I would like. Can you even see that? Yeah, it's a little further away from the wheel than it should be. But I didn't have enough washers to get closer. So then you come down here to the other one. That one's really close, and it's really in there on the center nicely. So that's a good one. Now here's the problem I had. The 1/4 inch that I had left over, I should have put another 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch in here to bring this over some. Sorry, it keeps losing focus. Because as it is right here, it is just barely touching the surface of these cups. So that one won't do much, but we'll at least have these around here that will be able to power a lot. So we basically have this back up to where it was before, and time to be installed. Now let's go down here and get it hooked up, and we will re-plumb anything down here that we need to. I also need to go up the hill to see what has been damaged over the winter up there as well. I've come back out to my little makeshift housing where I have the permanent magnet alternator sitting down in the box. Now I intend on reworking this entire system to look nice, be waterproof, be mouse proof, and also hopefully have a large enough catchment basin that I'll have plenty of room to haul off the water that's going to be hitting this thing. Basically what's happening now is if I turn on all these jets or nozzles, the water will fill up this base and it just will get waterlogged, it'll slow down. It's a whole mess. So basically this wooden box is going to go and something much better will be in its place. But for right now, I need to go up and turn off the water and then come back down here, and I've got a couple of pieces that I'm going to use. So none of this means anything right now, but I'm going to take these out, have the T right here, and it's going to look kind of like this one over here, except I'm going to have this T in there as well. So let's say I have an issue, I need to work on everything when it's cold. I can open this up and have 15, 20 gallons per minute flowing off to the creek, keeping the whole system moving. And hopefully it won't have that freezing issue like we had this time. Anyway, all that being said, let's take the four-wheeler up the creek and see if we can figure out what we need to do up there. I just drove the four-wheeler up as far as it can go, and I see one little issue with our system so far. Ooh, this is slushy. Wonder how all this water got here. Oh, here's the problem. One section of our pipe has come loose. So all the water we're getting down there is simply splashing into the pipe when it surges, which is crazy. So there's still a lot of water going in there. But it looks like our source is still, or our screen box is still working well. So what we need to do is take all of this out here and get that hooked back up. But obviously we'll turn off the water first. I just made it up here to the 55-gallon drum, which is the source for the 2-inch penstock. And all of this seems to be doing quite well. Need to open this up and see how much silt we've built over the winter time. But this basically comes down these 3-inch-and-a-quarter pipes and fills up this barrel. And that part's doing really well, so pleased with that. So let's go up here and see what's happening. Looks like my inner tube has been washed out, and that was kind of a, I guess, a seal against the rock. So I don't know what happened there, but it looks like everything is still working out pretty good, except for that. So I guess I'm very pleased with how that's turned out. It's kind of hard to see how much silt has made it into that box, but I assume anything that gets in there can simply get stuck down in the bottom of our 55-gallon drum. A side note, my neighbor's unit up here has run non-stop for months and months. It's made not a whole lot of power, but enough that he can keep lights on at night in his off-grid system. Let's see if I can open this. I may have to grab my wrench real quick. Yeah, no, it may open. Yeah. I am seeing some silt in there, for sure. Anyway, I'll let that drain out for a second to clean it out. But in the meantime, we can close this so we can work on stuff further down the line. I stepped down here where the two pieces had separated. I had to pull this piece up about 1.5 feet. So in the past, I've realized that these 2-inch pieces are really hard to get into the pipe. So I did bring the torch. I may have to do that real quick. Well, I think it actually is stretched enough. I'll be able to get it in there and hopefully cinch it down tight enough with these hose clamps. I have that connected back again and everything seems to be pretty tight, so hopefully that's enough. If it's not, I can put more hose clamps on each side here to really lock this down. But anyway, let's go back down to the bottom and get everything attached down there. And here's what the second system looks like. I removed the other T that had the surge tank on it. I don't think it's necessary. And so now we have got one T that comes up and will go over to allow me to put a 3/4 inch pipe that'll go off towards the creek. I might actually put a unisil into the exit pipe over here and just make it a single little loop here. Basically, I can turn that on and it will allow the water to bypass the PMA and just go skirt around and over to the exit pipe. So that's what that one will do. And then here I've got just basic pressure gauge. Let me know how my system's doing. Got the ball valve here. I replaced the stainless steel version that broke right there with one that was a whole lot cheaper. So I'm gonna leave that closed for now because there's some silt in here. But I also moved the union inside and then I've got my wiring on this side. So that's what it's going to look like for now. I'm going to let this cement set up overnight. Now, why am I doing all this right now and not going ahead and building the new housing and getting the other stuff finished? It's because next week I am actually going to be meeting with a fellow who sells the really nice screen intakes that will be going up top, and I just want him to be able to see the system real quick, show that it does work, and then I'm going to start working on mainly building a new housing for right here. So the idea is going to be, I'm going to have a PVC trim box. So I'm going to use stainless steel pocket hole screws and possibly even a plexiglass top. And I'll make sure it's got foam insulation in there instead of the styrofoam. And that way it'll be sound resistant. And then also I'll have new wiring. A subscriber sent some shut-off switches. So we'll have the wires from the PMA come out of the PVC box into a separate little box that'll have a control and some other things that will be really handy there. So anyway, we're going to make this ugly thing here more permanent. And then on the bottom, it's going to have basically a couple gallons worth of drainage volume. So the whole thing will drop down into that lower portion, and it'll have at least 3-inch pipes that will go off towards the creek. So I should be able to open the water up top to full to get that going. Anyway, let's let this sit overnight, and then I'll be back in just a minute and we will test this out. I've actually waited a week before turning on the micro hydro because we had 4 or 5 days where the temperature was 26 degrees, and I did not want to have the busted pipes like last time. But for the next at least 10-day forecast, it's supposed to be 50 and 60 degrees at night, so maybe we are out of the frost and freeze. So anyway, let's climb up under the house here and go turn on the hydro classic over here. Yeah. So this thing has been resting for months now. So yeah, that's still on, but this is what we want to click on there. All right, cool. So we're now ready to accept power from the hydro. How are we doing here? Pretty good. That one's not on, but anyway, those all working well. Now, stay tuned for videos on changing all of this up here, because I'm going to be going from 60 volt to 48 volt, but basically doubling my storage. So that's going to be coming up. Also, I've got to cover that rectifier. Anyway, let's go try out some hydro. Back up here at the top, we've got tons of water going into our barrel, and you can see just how much water we still have in the creek over here. So let's go ahead and fill up our penstock. The other end is not open, so it may not fill until we go down there, because nothing seems to be happening. I walk down to this point and I can hear water moving. So it is filling up, which is good. Maybe we'll have pressure by the time we get to the bottom. Okay, this is probably the part you've been waiting the whole video for, where we actually turn this stuff back on. And we are still at 0 PSI here, unless that thing stopped working. Anyway, let's open the box. There's probably some mice back in here again. Mice, where are you? I don't see them. We're good to go there. Let's go ahead and let some of this air out. If I can get this valve to turn. Is that the right way? Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Nowhere for that water to go, which we pretty much knew. So definitely stay tuned for the total reworking of this box. So let's close everything but one. All right, we don't really have much pressure anyway, so. I'm gonna leave this, I guess, off here. And we can crack this one a little bit to let that air in. Let this pipe fill up for a few minutes. It's been about 15 minutes and our pressure is up to 30 or 31. So let's go ahead and open our jets, and that will continue to fill there. But let's go ahead and turn this one off. And let's turn this on. Oh, it's so tough. I may have to do something about that. All right, got that open. So the pressure actually went up a little bit whenever I did that. But it's just got one jet going at the moment. Let's go up and see if it's enough to send some power up to the house. Okay, so I turned it on and nothing happened. And then I waited for about 10 minutes and it started making 7 watts. So either it's just not spinning enough or the house wasn't using any power. So because the solar over here was making almost 700 watts. So I'm hoping turning on a dryer we'll actually see some watts coming in here. $24. Well, that's better. Okay. What is this thing pumping out? 770, 319. Anyway, so yeah, I've got 600 coming in there and 30 to 36 over here. So, okay, cool. Well, it's working again, just not producing very much. Okay, with one nozzle going, this is producing somewhere around 36 watts, and it's ugly. So all that is going to be replaced soon. I think it's going to be nice to have a much better design. Okay, I believe that concludes this video. I mostly just wanted to get everything up and running again because I have a guy coming up to look at installing a much better intake screen. And then I'll be doing a new box down here, which will include a much better exit system, so the water will go to the creek better. I also am going to redo the electronics, so there's going to be a cutoff switch down here, and then everything will be insulated so that hopefully there's no problems with what we had this past winter with freezing. And then I'm going to actually plumb in a pipe right here that's going to come out and around to the 3-inch pipes. There's going to be 2 of them, I believe, and that can be opened up to let the system drain during the winter if it's going to be too bad. But anyway, right now I'm just going to let this do its thing. Most of the water I've got coming back here, but some of it is still escaping out around that poor design box there. And you can see we're making that 36 watts on just a very little bit of water down here. Thanks for watching. The future videos on hydro should be much more thought out than this one was. I just wanted to get all the stuff back up and running. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. That concludes bleh. No words are coming to me today because I'm so tired from 3rd shift.